record. And I want to be aware and conscious because I remember myself, like Leah said. And that was kind of why I sent out that PDF file, because everyone learns a little differently. It's nice to have something printed, and it's good to try to keep it minimal and not get overwhelmed. I think that's the first part as an artist when I started Pastels. And Leah will remember when she introduced them to me, I was just like so overwhelmed. So many colors, so many choices. What do I do? And it was like, she's like, it's just like painting. Stop. Like, get out of your own head. Just be simple and think about it and work yourself through the steps. And so those steps are just to try to take that extra noise that you tend to do when you're looking at something, and the details, right? They just suck you in and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? That's why I said on the PDF form was just look at shapes, just focus on the values, which is why we have the black and white. And that helps. Just look at your darks, your mediums, and your lights. It's so important. And assign those values to a color. And that's kind of why I wrote on that sheet of paper how we're going to start with the darks and what I was going to pull out. And hopefully you guys had a moment to kind of go through your palette and pick out some colors. Just remember, yours does not have to match exactly to mine. As long as your value is correct, you can choose different colors, different hues. So switching your phone, like I showed you last week to remind you, I know Jackie was using it. Take a picture of your pastels, switch it to black and white. It really helps you build your confidence. And noticing, one of the things that I have with and it's a disaster right now, my tray of pastels, I have them organized by values. I have them organized from lights all the way up to the darks. What happens is as you're moving through, I'm a fast painter, so I tend to move a little fast. And so teaching has forced me to slow down, which is good. When I'm looking, and I know Marie, I need it.
I'm going to pop out now.
Oh, okay.
I want to just end by saying.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say this. Like, don't be embarrassed. I'm about to say.
Oh.
I have never seen Marie as close to tears as she was the day she started Pastels. And it was, and I remember thinking in this moment, oh my God, she's going to be so good with this. But I've never seen her as close to tears as that day. I wasn't used to it. Like, she was so, I was so used to her just taking whatever I threw at her. So I want you to know, like, she really does know the frustration of it. And look at what an amazing teacher she's become in the thing that brought her close to tears, right? Like, right, Marie, is that a fair thing to say?
It's like, very fair. It's very fair.
I'm only sharing that because I want you to know that, like, that thing that feels like the worst thing in the world, the thing that makes you want to cry because you're so frustrated, if you go there, look at what happens. Instead of avoiding being there, if you go there, then you get mastery like what she's got. So
thank you, Leah.
Yes. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. I've got everybody here. So have a great class.
Thank you. Yes, Leah is correct. It's almost in tears. Yeah, pastels frustrated me. It was definitely a different medium altogether in terms of just handling. So I'm here for you. I just want it to be fun, but I hope that you take little nuggets with you at the end of class and build upon them. And that's kind of why I sent out that PDF, is just a reminder for those that are new, and also to help the ones that have been working through this whole year, and that can just pretty much just buzz on by and will be leaps ahead of us. And so I'm going to try to just manage everyone and just, raise your hand or yell at me, and so we can get started. So with that, it's funny, I've been working on rocks in my own oil painting, and so I did refer to my own notes, just so you know. like, what am I telling everyone to do? I got in my head. And so that was a struggle here recently because it is a little different working in oils than in pastel. And I would say it's more of my mark making that I've created, my own movement with my pastels to get the texture and look I want, and how do I get that into my paintbrush. So that's actually been the learning growth that I'm seeing in my painting side. So with the rocks, this is fun, guys. I have a pastel pencil. I was just going to use this. It's a purple one, but I was just laying here, so I grabbed it. But I have a new pastel, dark blue, which I'll probably use as well. It's kind of whittled down. And let me send it over to you in black and white just to help out the picture if you haven't already switched it over. I do this every time before I look at a painting, just to gauge when I'm thinking about values and colors, you know, the balancing act of leading your eye through the composition where things are going to be placed. We always have that license to change or alter things if it doesn't look right. For today, I'm not going to mess with that. Composition wise, we're really just going to focus on layering some really pretty colors and get that fun texture that's showing on these rocks. So that's today's goal, is to practice on that. And I'm going to also send over the picture with the grid. Just something that I do this too because it's always shocking. Look how much this big rock, I mean, you know, it's huge, but look how it's a third of this picture. I mean, it's pretty big, it's massive. And so you think, look at all of these rocks here, they almost all fit right in this band. And then you have almost all these rocks down in the lower third. So it's just surprising to me when I grid things scale wise. So we're just gonna start sketching out the rocks. I'm just gonna follow along and look at the shapes. This is all I care about, is the shape. This is almost like a triangle, a side triangle. And proportion. I know in Leah's class, you guys have been taking like drawing and measuring. So I do that too. I say, okay, you know, this is this big. So look, you know, that's how I started out measuring. How long is this rock compared to this rock? Or, you know, how wide is this, you know, to here? So take your time. I'm just going to use the pastel pencil, kind of get an idea. Thirds, it doesn't have to be exact. That's not our goal right now. Our goal is just to kind of get in our shapes. And I like this, where the rock kind of is pushing up. So I'm just kind of paying attention to that and seeing where that falls. Reminds me of a hike I took up in what we call the enchantments. I enjoyed it. My boys, however, said it was hell, but it was fun. It was a hard hike. But there was this beautiful
children through hell.
Right? I mean, it was 8 miles. It was like it was like close to 9 miles. It was 4.5 miles. It was a hike, but it was so beautiful. But yeah, they were not happy with me because I was like, oh, you guys, they're in shape. Not like me. But I remember sitting at a creek like this, and it was just so peaceful, and Now I'm just looking, this rock right here is covered with water, but it actually juts out. So thinking about where it's hitting on this rock. Oh yeah, they were not, and I still tell them that we're gonna do that, a hike again like that. They were not impressed. It's my job to make it painful for them, right? That's what I think. But yeah, but it was so nice to just sit out and have this running water. Oh, it really was. And it was glacier water once we got up into there. So it was that beautiful aqua color that you just don't get. You don't get down here. We don't have glacier fed waters like that. Yeah, it was amazing. So this is kind of a funny rock that pops up here too. But yeah. So I'm just putting in marks and knowing that it's going to change. I'm going to move some things around, and that's fine, because as you add color, you get an idea of like, oh, that needs to look a little different. Like this is the negative shape here where the water is. It's also a good indication to see proportionally how things are looking. So let's see. Yeah. And then up here, we see this rock is just a little bit higher than the other one. So that's a big boulder. The rocks looked just like this too. They were crazy.
Are we doing every single of those little rocks when you get up into the trees?
I'm not, I think it's a good question, G. I feel like we're going to lay down some darker color, and then I kind of like just adding maybe a mark, like with your pastel to kind of indicate some shapes. Because our focal point's right here. And that's a good question. So more of our detail is going to be here in the forefront. And what's nice about these rocks, though, it leads the viewer back into here. So I don't want to omit those. I'm not going to focus my time on them. So I'm going to put little marks to say, oh, yeah, there's some rocks here. But it's not going to be like what we're going to do. I do like the angle of this tree and these limbs coming out. Just the direction. We've got this little shrub tree. Might put them in, I'm not sure. Kind of just, again, this is going to be more of a diffused, and that's, again, we're looking at values. It's going to be grayed down a little bit. It's not going to be intense because this is going to be kind of in the back. This branch, it's kind of strange. We don't get to see the whole tree. So I don't know if I'm going to include that piece. I can see that there's a tree right here hanging over. So I may use that as a tree and then, have the branches kind of falling off in that way. But this branch here is kind of in the way. It's not really doing anything for me. So, or for the viewer. And then we've just got some shrubbery back in here. Now, I'm kind of done sketching that piece out. I know it looks like crazy marks. It's just kind of a roadmap at this point for me. I'll give you guys a few minutes to, you can notice I decided not to do an alcohol wash today. And I sometimes you wonder why. Today I didn't feel like I was going to, I have 400 grit paper, so it allows me to load up my pastels a little bit more. If I was using maybe a 500 or even a 600 grit, I might have just not as toothy, meaning it's not as gritty sandpaper. I don't know. I feel like with a alcohol wash, it gives you a different look. If I know I'm going to be layering a lot of paints without wanting them to turn to mud, I tend to do an alcohol wash. So for today, we're not going to. You, if you want to, you by all means. We have time. So how's everyone doing? You guys can send over if you're already done sketching. So the next step, look at your black and white for those who need to. We're looking at our darkest darks. So we're looking at right in here and down on the bottom of this rock, down here underneath this water, right? Over here on this rock, down here. So this is where we're going to start with our darks. So I've got my dark blue, and it's a new pastel. I'm going to use the edge of it, and I'm just going to look at those shapes that I've kind of, something to pay attention, just like with trees, right, or mountains. We want to run that pastel in the direction of that plane. So this rock here, we're dragging it this way. We see that that rock is coming down. We're going to drag our pastel down. This one, this angle, that's why rocks are so great, is you have all these different planes, these areas like this right here. So how do we make it look like it's coming at this angle? That's what we're looking at doing with our pastel. So we want to drag. I see things are coming through. Good. Very good. Looks good, you guys. Good job. Very nice. Okay. So I'm using my pastel, just looking at this negative shape. It's like a kind of a triangle. Not pressing too hard. This comes over an angle. And water, we're always looking at doing horizontal. Then it's kind of spilling over. So I want to do that direction. The edge of this rock here. Not worried about the details, just looking at the angles. Another triangle down here. And we've got this rock. And kind of coming at an angle. Come over here. Got almost looks like there's water coming down. I don't think I'm going to add that either. I'm just going to have that more of just a darkened area.
Sorry, Marie, I'm just about to start. What color are you using? It looks like black, but it can't
Yeah.
be, right?
Yeah,
It's black?
No, it's actually here. It's called Blue Spruce. It's a
Oh, I have that.
Okay, great. It is a new pastel, and it's really great. That's what I love about the hard pastels. I usually start out with with the pastel, the hard pastel. So yeah. So now I'm kind of just measuring. I feel like this kind of needs to come out a little bit more. Yep.
I went to the art store yesterday and I'm bankrupted myself again.
Welcome to the club.
Plus, a friend of mine, I showed them the pastel I had made the first day or the second, when I actually had pastels to work with. She liked it so much and wanted to try learning on her own, so I got her some stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Good job.
I thought that was fun.
That's awesome. You know, I think that's one of the... She what?
Oh, she's already a skilled watercolorist, so she thought perhaps pastels would be a to learn.
So one of the great things about the using like watercolors, you can do that, right? You can use your watercolor on watercolor paper and then to tone it. You could even do your whole underpainting in watercolor on watercolor paper and then use the clear gesso and gesso over it and then apply pastel. And it's really beautiful, actually. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she should be able to. She makes really excellent portraits.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Well, good job.
Thank you for teaching us here.
Yeah.
You're doing such a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really great, honestly. It forces you to explain what you're doing when you don't even know what you're doing. In terms of words, it's like it just, as you become more familiar, you're doing things just intuitively, but it's great because it's really helped me develop my skills too. So I thank you guys for coming and putting in the time and effort and having fun. That's the part. Art doesn't have to be painful, and it can be fun and just experiment. That's what I like, that piece, especially like underpaintings. It'd be kind of fun to experiment with some different techniques. I even for myself, because I do get kind of sucked into my usual, because I know what it's going to do, but it's fun trying different ways. So I'm just kind of adding in the shaded areas on the rocks. I'm not drawing the rock per se. I've got some outlines on some, but
some of them glisten, so I'm curious to know how you're going to achieve that little glistening bit.
On the trees?
No, on the rocks, like on the right-hand corner, there's a bit of a sheen to the water.
Right here or right down here?
Yeah, on the bottom right rock.
Bottom right. Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're gonna do that. I'm curious to see.
So, what color do you see there? What initially when you look at that, what colors do you see?
Well, it's just brown and black and a little bit of white, but somehow somehow you have to make it look like it's shiny with water. I
Yep.
don't know how to do that.
Yep. So we're going to learn that. So the techniques here today is really looking and at what's underneath the shiny part. And I know with a rock, it's a rock. So like with waves, like, okay, the water is the water. And then what you see, that shiny part is the reflection, right, of the sun or the light onto the water. So if you think in that terms, our dark areas, we're going to be looking at the dark purples, the dark browns, and the red violets. And then we're going to look at the muted lavenders that are going to be sitting on the top, a cooler muted lavender in the shadow. And so it's going to be, because if we just did black and gray, it'd be boring, right? I mean, that's our goal, is to really make it a beautiful rock with lots of color. And that's what we're going to do. So that's why we're pulling out these purples and browns and blues, and we're going to have some rust color, and then the blues are going to be cool and muted lavender and blue here. But when you shift this way, it's still in the shadow, but it's warmer. So it's warmer in the cooler area. And I know that seems really crazy, but as we learn about shadows and being in the sunlight, this is where we learn about that temperature. So this is again, like Jeannie always says, we get into the picture and then we go, oh, this is a lot more technical. So here we go. I'm just testing you guys. I'm just testing you. But no, you're doing great. So keep the questions coming, and I'm kind of done sketching out right now. I've got enough here to kind of tell me where to start. And that's the biggest obstacle, right, is starting. What color do I do? When do I start? So that's kind of why I broke it down, hopefully in easier steps. Start with your darks, okay? Now we're gonna move into our lights. There's no sky here. What we do have is a lot of really pretty light shining and shimmering over here. So in order to get this pretty chartreusey green in the back, right? And then you see the trees kind of coming over it. We're actually going to lay in some of that brighter green, but it's going to be muted because we're pushing it back. So, oh, bad me. I do not have a test strip up here. We definitely need that. Get into a habit of that, because it is important to have an area where you can test your colors. And let's see what I've got here. Here's a piece. I can use this. I just cut this sanded paper and thought, it's fine, but really I didn't leave any testing. So this is a muted, and I'll take a picture of it, green. this would be not muted. If you can see. Can you see the difference of the bright green and the muted green? So when I'm saying muted, that's the difference. By itself, it looks really bright, but when you put an actual bright green, this is warmer and this is cooler, and this is going to be in the back. So that's how you test. And I'm just gonna put it back here.
Oh, too muted.
Okay. That's my lightest light. So now we're gonna go into the rocks. Again, where's our light coming from? We're thinking temperature. It's shadowed. Good, Julia. That looks great. Good. So now we're going to be ready to start in with our darks. What does that mean? I'm going to use some purple. I've got dark purple. I've got some dark brown. So I'll take a picture of these two for you.
Sorry, Marie, with that one you just put down on the back, the green, that's the bright green that you've put down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a muted bright green.
I don't think I have anything that's a green that's muted like that.
That's okay. If you have like a light yellow, like a use that.
Like a creamy sort of color I've got.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
And
That's
is it
perfect.
still the under painting? It's not the top layer of the color, right? Because it looks still too bright. Am I wrong?
Yes. So remember, we're building up with our pastels, and so with a lighter color in the back, in order to have that glow, we actually have to put that lighter color first. I know it seems counterintuitive. It seems like we would add that on top of our tree, but it's actually the reverse. It's like if you see really, really bright orangey trees and like maple, like they're turning right now in fall. We're going to be working on this actually next month. You tend to want to paint the limbs and the dark and then add the lights, right? Because it is really hard to go the other way. But with trees on a backlit, we're actually going to add the lights first. And I know that does seem a little strange because it is hard. It's hard to go really light once you lay it down. So good question. So purple, dark purple. Okay, here we go. So I'm taking my dark purple and I'm just coming right up on this darker area. Why purple? Because rocks are gray and purple, and in the shadows, they tend to be more purple. I'm not going to add the dark purple here because I'm going to do a mid-tone. Good, Christina. Good. Great.
Thank you.
And so we're just adding color here in just a little bit of the areas, in the shadowed areas. Even running back over some of that blue, dark blue that you put in. Great, Jackie. Yeah. You got it. You're really paying attention to where the placement, so that's good. So now take your dark purple and come right back in over the blue. We're adding more color, more depth. More variations. I like to build up. That's my favorite part. It'd be boring, like I said, if it was black and white. I'm going to switch to brown now. So now I'm thinking, again, temperature, looking at what I see. This is a darker brown. So I'm kind of just looking on these rocks again. Light glaze. Got some pretty browns down in here. That light shimmering on the water. Just using the edge. Going horizontal. Got a little warmth here. Looking where you got the stick in your hand, just look to where you can put it. Might put a little bit up into here. Might be a little too dark, but that's okay. Always can come back down and settle it down. Just building up. Okay. You can kind of see up close how I've layered the brown and the purples. I know it seems a little bizarre right now. It looks very abstract. I'll kind of wait and see how you guys are doing. You can send over pictures. I can look at stuff. Probably going to move into a muted lavender. It's mid-tone value, almost to dark. This is going to be my next pastel.
Wow, that's an unexpected color.
And I'm just kind of looking at where I can put that. Okay, Jeannie, so go ahead and add some of your browns if you've got some down into your water.
Okay.
That looks good. I like that green in the back too. Looking good. And as you start applying your pastel, notice how I'm just using my actual pastel to create these lines, these areas, right? I'm not drawing the rock. I'm using my pastel to create an area like this. Okay, so it's really important that you use your pastel to create that shape versus you drawing the shape. I know it takes time, but we want to be aware of that. So now I'm just kind of putting in this lavender on some of these rocks here. I'm pressing a little harder. These are in the shadows. One of the best part about pastels is it looks so crazy for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there it is. There's the picture. There's the rocks. And that's all I'm doing. Let me see. Good job, Julia. Yep. So now as you're going to start layering, you're going to use your pastel. It's going to start blending in with each other. It's going to start mixing, what we call optically mixing. And so coming and using these back and forth to where you're not seeing the bits of sanded paper anymore. So let me,
That's still a dark though, right? Rather, or is that a neutral, your lavender?
the lavender.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that more of a switch than neutral?
It's still a muted. It's still on the cooler side, so I'm putting it on the shaded areas. It's still dark. What I'm trying to achieve is how can I lay those top colors over them to give that 3D effect, because we need the darks, the mediums, and the lights. If we were just to do black and then like a white on it, it wouldn't give that, it wouldn't read 3D. It wouldn't look right. So we're trying to build up that color to it, so it's giving it a 3D look. And it's a process. So let's see here. I see something else. Oh no. So I'll wait. The next step, I need to get some of this back here to give me a little bit better a sense of the whole picture. So good, Jackie. So with your bright purple,
Yeah.
right in here.
Yep.
Take it, and because you've got the new pastels, take your new pastel and you can break them into small pieces like this.
Mm-hmm. And do sideways.
Yep. And so now you're going to take it and you're going to drag it this way, so it actually blends your two colors.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And same with like on the sides of your other rocks. You want to just use the edge of your pastel versus it being, do you see those edges where they're straight?
Yep.
We want them broken. So instead of doing like this, we want it like that.
Yep.
You start and then you drag and lift. You start, drag and lift. Excellent. But you got the values right. So good job.
Thank you.
Yep. Half the battle is figuring out how to make your pastel do what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is how can I make it without looking like my 5-year-old nephew drew it? Okay, well, that's where you practice. And you can really, instead of drawing the rock like this, use your edge of your pastel to create that curve.
My 5-year-old nephew would be better than me.
You know, it's funny because my nephew, matter of fact, I'm going to be watching him tonight. He told me that he's a well-known artist now because he has art in his kindergarten class. So,
Oh my God, I love that.
so I have competition now.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I know. I love the confidence and everything. So cute. Oh, he cracks me up. All right. Let's get up into some trees. If you aren't there yet, don't worry. It's not going to be detailed. We're just going to add some cooler greens. What are those? I've got this dark, almost like a blue green. I'll take a picture of it. I've got a shade lighter. I even went to shade lighter. It's kind of brighter. So that's going to be kind of in these little pockets of where I can see that glow. Let me take a picture of that. And here's now, if you don't have this, that's okay. What you need to do is find something that's more on the bluer side of the green. Okay. You need to have it cooler in temperature. So that's why we're going bluer. And because blue is cooler and it's pushing back in the distance. So I'm going to start with my dark green. Notice I'm not drawing the branches. I'm using my pastel just back and forth, very lightly.
Is that like an olive green?
This is like a, I would say it's more of a blue green. It's okay. Darker.
I think I have that.
And I sent a, did you see that? I just sent a picture. So there's 3 values, dark, medium, and light. So I'm just adding some color back in here. This is that mid-tone, still on the cooler side. I'm not covering up the green. I'm letting that still shine through. It's okay to come right over the rock. We're just getting the first layer down. This is even lighter. And just scumbling a little bit of this over the tops. Just a little bit out here. It changes a lot once you just add a little bit of that green. Now I'm going to come back in here and just reestablish a little bit. It looks like I'm going to need more of a,
I haven't heard from them yet.
it's kind of like a red violet. Oops. Let me clean it off so you can see. So that's what it looks like up against the green. So in the picture, it almost looks brown, but it's more of a muted red violet. And I'm just going to use it right up here. Just fill in some of these spaces. Just marks, not a whole lot. One of the things about pastel is it's a lot of back and forth. So you're putting marks down, then you're coming back over it. Putting marks down, coming back over, because you're building those layers. And just using my new pastel, the blue spruce, and just rolling the edge very lightly to create some of those wispy branches.
Marie, is that right? Is the bright green more like a turquoise?
It is. It's almost like a turquoise. Yep.
Okay.
It is actually. I'm going to use that dark brown that I had earlier. I'm just spending a little time here. It's not going to be a lot. Really, we want to get to our our rocks. So I'm going to leave it like that. I know that my tendency, and it's pretty normal, that you start in and you just start focusing on that, and then you realize you've gone too far. It's get in the habit of just working a space for just a little bit, stop, and then move to the another part of your painting. I'm going to take some of that blue green, and I'm going to bring it down into my water a little bit. Why I'm doing this is because we want the background and the foreground to play together. If I didn't bring any of these colors up here down into here, it would look disjointed and it wouldn't flow very well. So it's good to also just put a little bit. It doesn't have to be everywhere. Even if you don't necessarily see green, you probably do. There's probably green from the reflection. And I'm just going to add it in there. Even on the edge of this rock. Okay. Let's see here. This is a red violet. Building up color. I'll put it up into here. Right up into here. Where I want it to kind of glow. Let me take a picture of this. Now I'm looking for some mid-value browns. Thinking about here, here, down in here, and some browns. I'm not putting brown up in here. This is more of a cool lavender violet with some blue in it. So this is a mid-tone brown. And I'm just building to my lights. Where is it warmer on my rock? Just a little bit. And then we've got that rock that comes over there. Got some nice warm browns in that water. Just using my finger a little bit to soften that. Okay. I've got some blue here. I'm not sure if that's really what I want. I'm going to take it and put it right on this transition. And right up here.
Is it blue?
This is going to be blue.
Oh,
I know. Stick with me. It seems strange.
I am. Okay. Cool.
I'm just kind of putting it in these shadowed areas of the rock. And I'll come back even with a lighter, muted blue, probably a little like lavender, and calm down that blue, but it's going to really vibrate underneath. Be pretty. That's the fun part here. Okay. Oops. Just gonna add a little bit of blue up into here. Okay. It looks wild right now.
Oh, wow. It's fun. It's like a puzzle.
I know, it's fun. Because then once we put our lightest lights right on top, you're going to just have these beautiful layers that build all the way, that every rock is going to be three-dimensional and has these shapes that we're building with these colors on top. And so notice where the lightest lights of those rocks, I've kind of left them by themselves, so to speak. Like I haven't really added much color to that because I'm preserving that. But yeah, the fun's gonna, this is what I love about it. It's like, okay, this is crazy, but it works. And it works because if we were just to paint it like what a rock, I guess, would be, then that would, one, be boring. That's not our job. Our job is to make it beautiful and lively and colorful and visually interesting. And you'll find yourself walking up and seeing these types of paintings, right, that have these interesting shapes where you'll walk and go, wow, look at all that color. From afar, it looks just like what you see. But then when you come up, you're like, look at all of this broken color and shapes and mark making. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. And you can see that it is. It's a lot of layering. It's a lot. So, and I'm just taking in this new pastel that I have and glazing over that edge of my big rock. And it will, I haven't added the highlights of the water yet. It's going to pop up once I do that, meaning right in here, but we're not ready for that yet. We're still working on our rocks. And go ahead and send me over your pictures so I can look while I'm preparing. Like I said, I pulled out some colors, but I was like, might work, might not. Let's see. I really want, this is a purple, blue purple.
Oh, sorry.
Just looking at where I can add this. More of a muted down in there. So we have not added our lights yet. So I know it's taking a while to build up to that. So we're still layering colors. I just put down a bluish purple, mid value. And this is my bridge from my really darks to my lights. So when we talked about optical blending with our pastel, it's even like when you're painting, let's say, an apple, and you're painting that rounded where the shadow and the reflected light, and then you're coming up to the brightest. That's what we're looking at doing with the rocks, is we're building the darks, and then we're going to bridge to the lights. And so we need those bridging colors. Purple is actually a perfect bridging color in anything. When you're really trying to get that transition, purple in landscape and nature is a wonderful color to choose. If ever you're stuck wondering, what should I do? Where should I look? Purple is where you should go, depending on obviously temperature, but it's a really, really good bridging color for landscape painting. So, and I tend to go to a lot of purples. So, okay, so Jackie, good. So same with like in your trees in the back. We'll start up there, Jackie. So you'll just take some of your green, and you'll just, again, take your pastel, and you'll just kind of come over and break up those lines of the trees, so that you have the green covering over it a little bit.
But is this green okay? Because it's the best one I have, I think.
I think at this point it's okay, since you're just starting to get an idea of how to use the pastels. The more that you add to your collection, I will call it a collection because that's what's going to happen, is that right now you're just learning about what values the lights and darks, and then we don't want the long line of the tree, because it kind of distracts your eye. All of a sudden you just go up there because it's the light and the dark. So the way to get away from that is you're going to take your green and cover over some, right? Because if you look in this picture, look, leaves are covering that tree. Yeah. Leaves are covering up here. So that's how we make it believable. So I want you to start there. And then so you can see where you have your dark browns and your purples. Again, we're just going to practice not having what we call those hard lines. We're going to soften those lines. So right where your dark meets your light on your rock, I want you to use your finger and blend out.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Sorry, I don't have a lavender. I just have a purple.
Okay. If that's okay, if you want, do you have a gray?
I do.
So you can take your lavender and then take your gray over it.
Okay, got it.
Or you can use a blue and then take your lavender over the blue.
Like a light blue?
Yeah. If you have a test strip, a piece of paper.
Yes, I can try it out.
Take your lavender and then take your blue over it. It should cool it down. Or try your lavender with your gray over it and see between the two what will get you where you need to go. And if you're not sure, just send it over and I'll look at it.
I think it's the gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yep. Let's see here. This is a, it looks gray, but it's actually blue. It's a gray blue. And just adding on the edges here. I'm just using the edge of the pastel to hit the tops. I'm not drawing the rock itself. Your eye is going to put those lights and darks together and say, oh, okay, these are rocks. So let me take a picture of that so you can see here. It's a blue-gray. I like the way I paint is with more marks, the mark making itself, where I'm using the edge of the pastel and creating. So I'm not blending with my finger. I'm using my pastel to blend. It's not a bad thing to do, but it's not, I generally don't blend all the time using my finger. So. Okay. I haven't added these little rocks into the water yet. Those are going to be at the very end. We're just working around the painting, building it up. Kind of just adding things to where we need. To help describe what's going on. And working edges, very important.
I really like that. I really like that, Marie. What you're doing is to describe what's going on.
What I'm trying to do is just work the edges of the actual rock itself without drawing the rock.
Right.
So I'm coming around, and when I say work the edges, there's the darks here and then there's the lights. And by creating a movement or mark of my pastel, I can create that dark And then this is going to push this forward and create this shape without me having to draw it. So that's why it's back and forth. I saw that I added, and thank you, Jeannie. So I saw I added this light color, but it was the same value as that dirt. And so it wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there competing with each other, essentially. For it to kind of pop out, I needed to come up around it with some darker colors. Still in the muted family. I want it to be receding. So it's funny, like looking at it on my monitor and then looking at it here. It's actually, that's also handy too if you've got a mirror behind you. I know a lot of artists do that too. If you put a mirror behind you, it helps. You can see your drawing and your shapes a lot better. I'm just testing to see the warmth of this. This is a hard pastel. It's a warmer brown. I kind of am trying to get that reflected light coming off the water up onto the shadow coming up onto the rocks. It's pretty. It's one of the things I like about this picture. It's not bright enough to put in the water quite yet. Just adding a little bit, little bits. Little bits here and there. Paying attention to the plane of the shape. Let's see here. Maybe this. Is that the same? Looks like the same. I don't think I want that. Let's see here. Okay, so this is a red violet. Get a better color. I'm gonna show you the color. Yeah, Christina, that looks great.
You think so? It looks a little crazy.
Well, I mean,
Not crazy.
yeah, but what you've got is you're really paying attention to your edges, right? I can tell these are rocks. So,
Yours looks much better though.
yeah, so now, I mean, what you'll want to do is just emphasize the darks area. So you're going to go back in with your blue and really look at these dark, almost black areas. Now, once you kind of get those in very lightly, I don't want you to draw in the shape. I just want you to kind of add a few marks in there to just make it a little bit darker.
Okay.
You don't want it to compete too much, but just to a little bit of separation. But it's looking great. I mean, yeah, keep adding that what was it, like a purple over here on this side? Bring that up into here, into the rock a
Oh, yeah,
little
that's
more.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
Got
bring that up into here. I'd even take a little bit and run it over the top at that angle.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will
Yep.
do that. Thank you.
Yep. Good job. I'm using this crazy purple, but I think it's gonna work on top of these rocks, so bear with me. I know this is where we get to try it out. It changes once you put it on.
What brand of pastels are you using, by the way?
What was that?
What brand of pastels are you using?
I got a mix. These, trying to think. Not sure about these. I'm gonna say I got them through Dakota Pastel.
Okay.
I've got some Terry Ludwig's. I've got some Unison.
Mhm.
I've got some Rembrandt. I have some Great American. Probably the most that I use are the Unison and the Terry Ludwig's and the new Pastels. Those probably are a big bulk of mine. I encourage you to try it. I know Dakota Pastels has what's called samplers. And I've actually ordered a couple samplers from them, and it gives you, I want to say 7 different brands of pastels, and you can choose like in a green color or a blue color. And what's awesome about it is you get to practice with every brand and see what you like, because all of them, their consistency is going to be a little bit different. Like Singulaire, I can't say it very well, but they're very soft, and they tend, I mean, it's something you would use at the very end. It would fill up the tooth of your paper really fast.
I see.
I like Terry Ludwig's because they're like the new pastel. They're just a larger square. So in what I do, I like to use it for the edges. So they're kind of, I enjoy that. The Unisons are really great too. Let's see, yeah, Dakota Pastels they're here in Washington, north of me, and they do all pastel. That's all they do. See if I can get their link. Yeah, it's called Dakota Pastels, and they're so cool. I haven't used the Blue Earth, but they have anything and everything you can go through, and they're just the nicest people. But they have, the pastel samplers. So they've got a soft sampler of blue. I think I got that one, and green. So it's got Blue Earth, Block X, Art Spectrum, Geralt, Great American, Mount Vision, Schminke, Singulaire, Reichen, Richardson, Terry Ludwig, Townsend Soft, and Unison. Those are all that are in there, and they're so great. I'll send it to you. I really loved these samplers because I didn't know for sure what I would like, and so let's see. This is the blue sampler, and it's Dakota Pastels. Definitely try it out.
Yeah.
And they even have sampler like sanded paper for you to try. So, yeah. Okay. Let's get some of this. It's too late. Let's get some of this color on so we can get this water before we head out. This is a warm brown shade, lighter than that brown I had. Just hitting these tops. Just a little bit here. That's too light. Okay. So for the water, we have a really rusty color. More on the orange. I'm just gonna come drag it very lightly in the shaded area. Then it just kind of disappears with the water over it. We even have a little bit on this side of this rock. That orange. Maybe a little bit up into here. Take a picture of it. And that's what I was applying into the water here. Now we've got where the sun's hitting that. The water's not very deep, so we're seeing the rocks underneath. The sun's really hitting that part, so we're gonna have a brighter, peachier color, and it's gonna come right in here.
So I'm actually using this completely crazy new paper.
You are?
It's Sennelier, but it's like velvet. It's so velvety. So I've been struggling a bit, but it's so soft. It's
Is it
crazy.
like pastel matte?
It's not pastel. No, no, no. It's like really like velvet. It's like some kind of feels
Ooh.
like some kind of material. But I will send you a picture. It looks completely different than any other picture. So sorry about that.
I want to see. I want to see it. Yeah. Send a
It's
picture
just
over. I'm
so
curious.
soft. I have to practice because it's completely different than what I'm used to.
Okay.
It's
No,
yeah.
that's. I'm curious. Definitely curious. Good job.
Experimenting.
That's how you find out ways that you're like, ooh, I never knew that could do that. You know?
Okay, here it goes. Sorry.
Oh, wow. That's really
It's
pretty.
so- I'm not sure, but it's just so soft. I trying to put the edges, but it's a challenge.
And so it's like literally holding, it's like gripping the pastel. Is that what you're feeling? Like it's not dragging?
Yeah. It feels
Yep.
like. But I sprayed it because it was like I also have Sennelier pastels, so they are also, as you know, very soft.
Yep.
So
Yep. I
it's
think it
like
looks great, Natalia. That's beautiful. Yeah.
thank you. Like a
So
bit
yeah,
funky.
send over a picture of what did it come in like a pad form?
It's like a big. I had to cut it. It was
Okay.
like
Okay.
sheets of paper.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
but very soft.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's fun though.
fun.
Well, good job. Okay, so we're gonna hit some lights and then some water before we go onto the rock. So this is a little bit warmer down here. So I'm looking at the orange, yellow orange, a dark and then a light. Up here it's gonna be, it's still gonna be on the warmer because of the sun, but it's gonna be like I'm gonna use a very muted color and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to take this darker of the two, and I'm just going to pull it up on this edge right here.
Sorry, what color? Like a cream?
The pastel?
Mm-hmm.
It's like on the orange,
Okay.
yellow orange, yeah, and then like a light pinky orange. I would say it's lending to the browns a little bit more. And I'm just looking at these. So I had it. I don't want it too. I'll have to adjust that. Just seeing if this will work up here. You never know. This one's broken into pieces, so let's.
What color are you using for the white water, or are you in there yet?
No, not there yet. It's probably going to be a light blue. I use this yellow for the actual where it's the sun's hitting it. It's warmer. Maybe even over in here a little bit. don't really have direct. Okay, so I do need to fix that a little bit. Okay, so water. We're gonna have, it's in shadow. So we're gonna use a blue.
Hi.
That's too dark. I'm just testing out. So we'll probably start with this mid-tone blue right up into here. And I'm just gonna drag it a little bit over, just like that. I'm gonna take this to the edge and use the edge of my pastel and just drag it down. Now this is going to be a different color, even though it's flashing. Now the water is not in shadow, it's actually with sunlit. So we're going to change that water to a warmer color. But we do have it kind of in shadow here. So I'm going to use that blue and I'm just glazing it over the top so you can still see. And I'm just going to press a little harder to where that water comes up. You can see the edge. I'm following the edge. I'm going to lay some brighter blue over the top. But I just need to get this in. It kind of comes back into here. Just like that. And it kind of comes down along this rock. I'm just using the edge. Comes in and comes down. It comes up. Light touch. Okay. That's it with the dark blue, or the mid-tone blue, I should say. So I've got a lighter creamy color right here where the water gets dumped in the bubbles. Kind of add that. Kind of comes out. I probably need to get those rocks put in. Get my new pastel. So I'm just putting a mark, a mark, and then I'm going to take my dark muted lavender and I'm just going to come right over the tops, just like that, for the tops of the rocks. This one has a little bit of sunlight on it. Okay. And you can tell how things, it's like it's react, you touch one rock, then now you're back to another rock because what you just did has affected that piece. So okay. Don't want to forget about the light part of the water. So we use the mid-tone blue. Now we're going to go to a lighter blue because it's still in shadow. If we were to have this in the sun, then we would be looking at more of a creamy yellow. So this is a light blue, and I'll show you a picture. And this is the change from those, or here's that blue. So in order to get the movement of that water coming over the rock, we're going to use the edge. If you have a square edge, perfect. You just take it and you lightly drag, you glaze over that rock. I kind of did that with the darker color, and you're just bringing it over and coming down right into here where it's really white. Still in shadow, but it's still brighter than that blue. And it's bubbling over. Take your time. If we used white, it would be too bright and wouldn't look right. Okay. Kind of comes down and pools around in there. And even comes around like that. Get some lights here. Always looking to see where can I add this in. Whatever color you have in your hand. Okay. Just lightening the tops of this rock. It's still a muted blue, gray blue. Reinforcing these edges. Talk about it a lot. I have a, like a peachy color almost. And it almost has that peachy look right in here. I'm going to drag some of that down, even have it down in here. See how it gives those rocks just a little more depth and color. That's what we want. Maybe even just on the edge. And using that blue for those shadowed areas on the rock rather than putting in the dark gray. Much more color. This is the refining stage where you're coming in and now you're working those edges. You're looking at what needs to be darker, what's not reading right. This is where I like to use my new pastel, and I'll do some scratching. I call it scratching. Some hash marking is another. And I come in and you can make these marks to say this is the direction it's going. And I think it gives it a little bit of a artistic look, I guess. I like doing that. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just scratching with my pastel and you know, now we didn't spend a lot of time up in here, and that's okay. You can come back in and work these areas later. So I'll show you what I'm talking about, these hash marks. So you can come up and make some really cool marks on your rocks. And see how it's so much nicer with the buildup of the color? You see how boring it would be if we didn't have these pretty colors underneath, these undertones. It just wouldn't look right. That's your challenge as an artist when you're looking at how and where to start. Start with your darks and then build into the lights. And like up here, I still even need to go lighter. That's okay though. Go ahead, send over what you have if you want me to look at it. You guys did really great. This is a challenging one for sure. And you can go as detailed as you want. That's the beauty of it too. So yeah, that looks great, Jackie. See how, so the trees look a lot better. And you can still go over those with color, break them up so you can't see them as much.
Yep.
But great job shading and really making it look, you've really worked the edges and the planes of I know they're rocks, so good job.
Thank you.
Now the ones down in the bottom here, you can add some highlights. So yeah, so now just hit the tops of your rocks where the lights are hitting them. Good job. Yeah. Very nice. I love it, Julia. Very nice, Jeannie. You have a heart-shaped
I know.
rock.
I have two heart shapes, but
I love it.
you know, because really the middle and the one on the upper right, but I realized the one on the upper right is too peachy looking. It looks like a little butt up there.
That's what I think it does too. Okay, well, maybe take out that nice crack you put in the rock.
I'm changing the shape a little bit.
Oh, I love it. Very, very good. You know, we can look at it and see all the different planes and angles of the rocks, right? So very, very well done. And the background looks just lovely. And same with Julia's. You guys did an amazing job. I just love it. All the building of the colors. So good job. Keep working at it. And of course, you can always send over pictures and I can help you with them too. So, and how did you do, Christina? Oh, you just sent it over? Yeah, great. So, and then, so with your water, you're gonna just now come back in with some darker colors around it. Okay. And so, and get that curvature of the water. So right in here, look how it's coming around the rock, whereas yours is coming to the rock. So you want to change the direction of the water, and like I said, just with your pastel, like pretend, take your pastel over on your picture and practice and see how it's running down the picture. Do that. Okay. And then mimic that movement over on yours. Good job.
Then do you, so.
Thank you, everyone. Good job.
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful week. Don't work too hard. And let's see, we've got another, we're gonna rocks, and then we're moving into autumn. So it's gonna be fall colors, trees, pathways, that kind of thing. So fun.
Yay.
All right, have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for coming.